Good morning. My name is Kumar, and I would like to welcome you all in the. Since you can just. I would like to welcome all you in this session. This session is agritourism in East Asian countries. Today, I invited Professor Ohe from Tokyo University of Agriculture, also Daisuke Kunii from Ministry of Agriculture, Japan, and we have a presenter from South Korea, Moderator. He also works in agritourism, and we have presenter from Mongolia. She will talk about the Mongolian perspective, and we plan to discuss this event because as you can see in this screen, that rural youth who are working in agricultural sectors, they are poorest group of working youth. That means they don't have much economic opportunities in the rural areas because they just grow agriculture and they cannot sell it they cannot sell in a good price. So how to increase the income of the rural people is a real challenge. So I think one of the alternatives is agritourism. That's why we need to discuss about it. Agritourism in Western countries has been implemented for a long time, and it has mainly focused for income generation for the farmers. But in case of developing countries, it is more important for the poverty alleviation and rural developments. So we need to discuss how can we develop agritourism in developing countries perspective, and some part of delayed regions as well. For example, in case of Japan, agritourism development could have been done earlier stages, but in some cases it has been slightly delayed. So I would like to request Professor Ohe to give how Japan has been doing, or how Japanese agritourism has progressed from the history, because he is the pioneer researcher in agritourism in Japan, of course, and he is one of the renowned scholar in the world as well. So I would like to request Professor Ohe to give his lecture on how Japan progressed agritourism in Japan.
Thank you. Now, okay. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Owe, and I'm very much happy to be here at Kyushu University. And okay, just now we can start. Thank you. Yeah. And now let me start. The title is History Present, Agritourism in Japan, and I'm going to give an overview of agritourism history in Japan. Now let me start. And Japan's agri or rural tourism has not experienced faster and steady growth than its counterpart in Italy, because I have been doing the joint research on the Italian agritourism for the past 30 years. But in Italy case, it experienced a very fast and steady development. And now it has been recognized as an advanced model in the world. So this report focusing on the evolution of agri-rural tourism in Japan, not in Italy this time, and I report on the features and issues of agri-rural tourism in Japan to share our experiences toward better development of that activity. And in Japan, traditionally agrarian communities have been a basic unit of life for locals. For instance, ditch cleaning and maintenance of irrigation and sometimes sharing farm works. And have been done as community work that locals are supposed to take part. In line with this institutional rural tradition, farm and rural policy have been provided as community-based measures, and agritourism program is no exception. So, our community-based support framework is a traditional and regional way of policy implementation by taking advantage of community function in this country. And traditionally, near ski resort in mountainous rural areas, farmers have provided accommodation services to skiers in wintertime as a side job. Otherwise, farmers have to go out to have a seasonal part-time job in the city area in winter snow season. However, these accommodation services are not well defined and low quality services. So it was very common for a group of skiers to sleep in a large room together like a dormitory. And it's just sleeping and eating and sleeping and drinking. And agritourism in Japan has started almost 3 decades ago, and it was called green tourism, not agritourism. And that was our initial name, based on the discussion on the green tourism panel in the early 90s, based on the survey on experiences in European countries such as UK, Germany, and France. And before that, as mentioned there has been only farmhouse accommodations for skiers in the near ski slopes or fishing farms as well for anglers near the sea. And now, and in 1993, finally, green tourism program was started. It was 30 years ago. And national law on green tourism was presented in the Diet by a group of lawmakers for the promotion of that activity in Japan. That law was inaugurated in 1994. So green tourism farm include agricultural and forestry and fishing farms that provide farm experience services and accommodate tourists there. And under that law, the registration of green tourism farms has started officially. And now I'm going to talk about main features of that activity. And it was putting much emphasis on the educational aspect, such as farm experiences and particularly rice planting and harvest. And the registration was done together with accommodation and farm experience services. These two things are set. And local government promoted the registration of those farm accommodations for skiers in ski areas. However, these farm accommodations only in winter have no managerial skills in the summertime. That was a big problem. And because why these winter skiers accommodation activities were low quality? Because it was a derivative demand or secondary demand of ski resort in ski resort as a sleeping place or just eating place. So they are not well versed in original demand toward green tourism itself in summertime. And it is natural to see the number of registered green tourism farms has become stagnant after reaching its peak at about 700 farms. And this fact tells us that capacity building is very crucial for the development of green tourism. That was experience in the failure. And so the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry and Fisheries, this ministry administers green tourism activity and took a new measure to boost the number of registered farms in 2000. And that is the regulation on the farm accommodation services. And this measure was to lower the entry barrier for farmers to promote green tourism farms in one region to another. And farmers can operate accommodation services even under 33 square meters. That was minimum standard stipulated by the law. But in green tourism farm, it was exempted from that regulation. And non-profit organizations that are not involved in agriculture and forestry and fisheries now can operate green tourism. However, despite these promoting measures, green tourism has remained a low-profile activity. And that was a quite contrast with agritourism in Italy, which has experienced rapid growth, as I told. The reason for the low profile is mainly low profitability of green tourism activity, which remains far below the income level that enables farmers to feed their families. So operators are limited to elderly people to earn only pocket money, which gives them a chance to meaningful life, of course. That is it's important activity for elderly, but the young generations cannot enter that activity because of the low profitability. And now let me just summarize the rural tourism, green tourism problems of green tourism up to now. On the demand side, too much dependence on school trips. So that means the farmers are very busy accommodating many school kids, but low profitability. And they are not targeted at FITs, free independent travelers, or upmarket tourists. So naturally remained in the low profitability. And on the supply side, that's a problem as well. The activity is not viable enough for young generations because of the low profitability. So activities only for those elderly, as I mentioned, receive pension for pocket money, not as a full-time job for younger generation. Those reasons, green tourism remained in the lack of entrepreneurship. So its need for business management policy of rural tourism. That was my long-standing opinion. And now we look at more detail in the demand side issues because institutional constraints are very much stronger than the counterpart in European countries, because long holiday system or long vacation system we don't have in Asian countries, not only in Japan, but also other Asian countries as well. And if you look at two figures, on the left side demonstrate the case of Western Europe and overnight stay demand, the green circle part is larger than the light side, which represent the case of Japan and Asian countries. So we have to rely on day trippers, but these day trippers spend much less than the overnight tourists. So naturally, our market size is much smaller than the counterpart in European countries. So due to the demand constraint. And now, because of these constraints, and try to break these constraints, and the government started a new program, which is called NOHAKU, to improve the stagnant situation of green tourism. And NOHAK is, we translated a farm stay program, farm or rural stay program. And it was started in 2017. The first stage of that program was for 3 years. And the program targeted at the designation of 500 NOHAK practicing areas up to 2020. These NOHAK areas are eligible for financial support by a Ministry of Agriculture. And the organizations in rural areas can also provide NOHAK services as well. And this is, if you look at this table, it's make it a contrast between the previous program, Green Tourism, and NOHAK program. What makes difference is that in the new program, it's oriented toward viable rural tourism business and community-based. For this purpose, community-based organizations have to have legal status. And in the previous program, there's no such obligation. And the market orientation is very clear in the new program. And in the market, so targeted market, in the previous program, it was only domestic tourists. But in the new program, we also look at domestic and tourists from abroad. These are the main differences between the two programs. And now let me talk about outline of new program. And new program gives subsidy to the community-based rural tourism activity. And mainly it's 2-year program, up to 3 million subsidy, 3 million yen subsidy to community-based rural tourism association. And tourism program development based on local resources and brushing up local tourism contents, and also aiming at establishment of business-oriented local rural tourism business program. And now, but COVID-19 issues suddenly came up. So NOHAK incurred about 30% drop of the number of stays in the first year of COVID-19. This loss was, however, far lower than that of accommodation sector in general, which was devastating, as you know, not only in Japan, and this was worldwide. And the difference between the two sectors can be pointed out to 2 reasons. First reason was people prefer to go to rural areas to avoid crowded place. And the Minister of Agriculture took advantage of this preference, proposing microtourism and workation. And what was microtourism and workation? And ministry proposed 2 types of tourism, as I said, when telework was most diffused. And microtourism is a short distance trip, such as day trip or trip within the same prefecture, or even up to probably region. And workation is a combination of work and vacation in rural areas, and supposed to be done in rural areas, of course. And this novel type of tourism certainly compensated the revenue loss of NOHAK to some extent. And now this is statistics conducted in the 2020 after the COVID issues occurred. And figure 1 showed the willingness to travel to rural areas in the urban residents. And 60% expressed their intention and willingness to visit rural areas. And this figure 2 is very quite interesting result, because in the previous government survey, it was always observed that younger generation didn't show clear preference to rural visit. But in this case, it's quite opposite. Younger generation has have more preference than the higher generations. That is quite contrast with the previous studies. So I was very much amazed with this younger generation's preference for rural areas. And now, so COVID-19 created a new demand for rural tourism that has not been observed before, such as growing interest by the young generation. Microtourism and vocation are such examples. And we have to look at carefully whether that trend will continue in the future. And in March 2023, 620 NOHAC areas have operated, so which exceeded 500 target numbers. But what about the quality? Quality matters, of course. And main concerns in the post-COVID area, quantity-wise, the target of supply side was far cleared. Nevertheless, what matters most is establishment of truly viable rural tourism business in the rural communities. In this respect, after the support period, it is quite precarious. How many of them can be survive as viable business units? That is a question. And discussion on, for this purpose, discussion on post-NOHAC program was conducted from the end of 2018 to May 2019, and submitted the interim report by the Ministry of Agriculture. And I was chaired, I chaired this panel. And however, due to the breakout of COVID-19, the surrounding situation has changed. So the discussion of the panel was undertaken place again and issued the post-COVID-19 action plan of NOHAC this year. The main pillars of action plan are to further raise the viability of NOHAC as a promising rural business. And the main difference, main pillars of this post-NOHAC program is that now set a target of 7 million stays in 2025. It was a first demand side target, and now no supply side target, only demand side. And before the COVID, it was 5.85 million stays, so it will be reachable. And 10% of that target stays will be inbound tourists. And social inbound promotion areas will be designated to strengthen inbound tourism and building network of NOHAC operators to share their experience and to lead capacity building. That was aim of new NOHAC program. And it also needs to strengthen the capability of NOHAC DMOs, which do not always offer effective marketing skills and support measures to operators in that area, and strengthen overseas promotion of NOHAC through JNTO, Japan National Tourism Organization, and its government-affiliated body for promoting Japanese tourism and abroad. And the community-based rural tourism has entered a new stage because escorting consultancy is purely a private initiative and support NOHAC communities. This is very interesting event and interesting case, and their activities now expanding. Now I'll show you later this case. This is a case study. Kosuge Yamanashi case. Kosuge village is known as the village of headwater, and this is because Kosuge is located in the headwater Tama River. It's a water source for Tokyo, and providing high-end rural stay program since 2019, just before the COVID. And it was called distributed accommodation facilities in the village. And they get the hint from Albergo Diffuso in Italy, and local private company Edge operate accommodation facilities. And this company was established by the co-finance by the municipality and two escort consulting companies, Note and Satoyume. And main facilities renovated local old residence owned by prestigious family, traditionally called landlord residence. It's a big house. And other cases also renovated two old warehouses at the river cliff, which are called cliff houses. And upmarket FITs are focused on high quality hospitality, and 30% of the operation rate is all right to make it viable. That was target percentage, and tourists can experience the locals' rural life there. And this is a picture on the left. Kosuge village is located in the bottom of the mountainous Yamanashi with only 650 residents, decreasing from 2020 2,200 residents, which has been considered to be a nearly marginal village in the future. And renovated main accommodation facility on the right with the most care for the harmony of traditional rural lifestyle and modern elegance. With this picture was taken with local residents, and inside of the house, price of one person a night is 40,000 yen with a half board. And to realize authentic value of rural stay, on the left, that was living room, were matched tradition and modest modernity, and simple and elegant. And only local products are served as excellent cuisine by professional chef who was fascinated with that village and settled there. And on the right, simple but beautiful breakfast box makes you feel rural heritage. And bathroom with traditional cypress bathtub, relaxing with cypress fragrance. And bedroom, of course, no TV. Very simple but elegant bedroom. And this is a cliff house. And inside kitchen and living room, and you can cook by yourself, or you can ask for semi-prepared cuisine, or you can also order a chef to cook there. And you can have a very nice view. And this is on the left. This young couple now working as a manager of the this accommodation facility, and oh yes, and they worked in the prestigious hotel in Tokyo, but were not satisfied with the way of hospitality toward guests. So they are now working as managers and to realize their ideal hospitality there. And on the right, smiling senior local women and senior locals provide local farm products, transportation service, and cleaning, care of garden, and guided tour of the community, if you wish, and to make tourist comfortable stay there. And now talk about the local company Edge that runs the accommodation business, was established in 2019 and with the partnership of the local third sector company and two escorting consultancy firms are well versed in community-based rural tourism. And Note, one of them, a private company that specializes in the renovation of local vacant old houses and the utilization as accommodation facilities. And Note also provide Nipponia brand as a network of accommodation businesses with renovated old houses with well experienced know-how on renovation. And Satoyume CEO, Mr. Shimada, takes the CEO post of Edge and operating accommodation facility there. And despite being a consultancy, Satoyume took business risks and embarked on a new rural business with local stakeholders. Because the supporting firm, Satoyume gained the deep trust of the local municipality and residents due to the strenuous and successful support result for newly opened road station before the Nohak there. And the partnership with these social entrepreneurship firms enable quality service on rural estate. So including well-balanced innovation, interior design, and quality culinary service, experience of rural life and farm experiences, and comfortable trad modern accommodation facilities with authentic rural atmosphere. In the 2023 fiscal year, H becomes in black after the initial hard time due to COVID-19. And now the guest composition, 70 and 80% domestic tourists, 23, and the rest are tourists from abroad, mainly from Asian countries. And repeat visitors also coming back as well. And also 60,000 yen per night is expensive. That price was set from the simulation that running accommodation business could attain the break-even figure with the rate of 30% operation. And now where to go in the future, Kosuge. And Kosuge's case opened a new page in the community-based rural tourism history in Japan. Now the number of those who want to settle there from urban areas increasing due to the successful Nohaku in Kosuge. To cope with the growing number of want-to-be settlers, vacant old houses are planned to be renovated little by little, since there are 100 vacant houses there. The further renovation of old houses for accommodation facilities also planned. Now let me conclude. Rural tourism in Japan has been implemented as a community-based framework in line with agriculture policy. Despite 3-decade history of agritourism farm, tourism in rural areas has remained a low-key activity due to low profitability. To improve that situation, new program termed Nohaku on farmstay program were launched in 2017. This new program aimed at the establishment of viability of that activity. And COVID-19 negatively impacted agritourism business in milder than in tourism in general. Partnership with private consulting companies, which are not simply consulting, but also doing escorting consultancy services to realize the viability of tourism activity in rural areas. That is a newly emerging support service for rural areas to help locals realize rural entrepreneurship. In this context, we conclude that Japan's rural tourism has finally entered a new stage. And this is the last seat. Thus, nurturing rural entrepreneurship will be an important topic in the post-COVID-19 time. In this context, role of the intermediate organization that has rural business know-how will increase its importance in the future. And partnership is called consulting company holding a social entrepreneurship will be an effective option in this respect. That is my conclusion. Thank you for your attention.
Professor Wei, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
I talk a little bit too much.
It's okay, no problem. You talk about the importance of social harmony, entrepreneurship, subsidies, and quality aspects. I have one concern. Since government gives subsidies to the local people, they want to establish just to use that money. What is the sustainability of that fund? If government stops giving subsidy, that may not work for a long period of time. What do you think about it?
Oh, that is a good question, and it's always a headache for government sides who provide services to local communities, because it's a balance to make them viable activity, but also they want to support something toward that direction. And in know-how case, in the new program also only 2-year program, so 2-year subsidy program, and then the locals have to be viable, but actually this is very difficult task for locals. So that's why now I'd like to point out the supporting or escorting consultancy service provided by private company, but they have a mind of social entrepreneurship. So this kind of partnership will be very much effective, as I told in case of Kosuge. And now this kind of way of development will be more diffused, I expect.
Okay.
That is my conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Professor. If you have any questions, please write them down in the chat box.
Yes.
And Professor Abohe will answer, and I will pick the questions in later sessions as well. So please keep writing. Now, I would like to give time to another representative from Japan, Daisuke Kunii. He works in the Ministry of Agriculture, and he is going to talk about how regional initiatives has been done in Japanese agritourism. Please, the virtual stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
sure.
Yes, okay. Thank you for introducing me, Dr. Kumar. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present here today. But unfortunately, I'm not feel well, so I will give my presentation online. I'm very sorry about it. So let me share my slide. Okay, so today I would like to give my presentation titled Regional Initiative for Agritourism Development. But I think Professor Oe, he mentioned about the regional initiative for agritourism development already. And it's a very good example for the regional initiative in Kosuge region. But yeah, I tried to introduce my experience in some kind of example, introducing a reference of Arbego Diffuso. So first, I will introduce the background of this presentation, and then I will introduce the challenges of agritourism in Japan and Arbego Diffuso as a hint to solve them. And Arbego Diffuso, Professor Oe already mentioned about it, is an initiative that utilizes the vacant houses scattered throughout the community, as a hotel rooms. I will introduce it in this presentation. And after that, I would like to discuss how regional efforts can contribute to the sustainable development of agritourism by thinking up the challenges in Japan with reference to Arbego Diffuso. So the disparity between rural and urban areas has become a big problem worldwide. And there are growing expectations for rural tourism as a means of increasing farmers' income, especially to mountainous and rural areas. You can see the right picture, where conditions are disadvantageous. For example, European countries are providing various types of support for agritourism as a measure to increase farmers' income in disadvantaged areas. Many studies have already mentioned about the contribution of agritourism to improving farmers' income and revitalizing rural areas. The general image of agritourism is the provision of accommodation and activities by farmers and the sales of agricultural products. But in fact, there is no uniform definitions of agritourism. Agritourism is defined by law only a few countries introduced, including Italy. In contrast to the image of agritourism as an individual farmer's activity, agritourism in Japan, so it's already mentioned about by Professor Oe, which called countryside stay. I called countryside stay, but yeah, it's actually called nohaku. It's based on the regional revitalization and is perceived as a collaborative effort among various local stakeholders, not limited to farmers alone. The Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries defines it, the countryside stay nohaku, as a form of travel in which tourists stay in farm, mountainous, and fisheries villages, where they can enjoy meals and experience using rich local resources during their stay there. The main feature of this definition is that it aims to create a system that the country where a community welcome tourists. It is a point that differs from the general definition of agritourism to the nohaku. So the countryside stays called nohaku in Japan are a regional effort. It was generally affected by the COVID pandemic. So nohaku has traditionally accepted students. Yeah, it's already mentioned by Professor Oe. They accepted students on study tours. And many of the farmers who hosted guests were elderly. Such elderly farmers have not accepted overnight guests during the COVID pandemic for the past 3 years. There are many elder farmers have given up according to overnight guests recently. Comparing agritourism in Japan and Italy, it has been pointed out that agritourism in Japan is not economically. It is reported that in Italian agritourism, about 70% of agritourists decreased their income about 30% or more compared to the previous years, while the remaining 30% increase their income by selling agricultural products and some processed food during the COVID pandemic. So there is a big difference in that agritourism in individual initiative, while nohaku in Japan are a regional initiative. So by the way, Albergo Diffuso, I mentioned it in the introduction, is an initiative to revitalize the community by using vacant houses in the town as a hotel room, and is particularly active in Italy. As shown in the left figure, it is a typical hotel. The guests are accommodated in a single room. It's colored white. Is the hotel shows white shows the hotel. That's why the town and the tourist is divided, separated. As shown on the right side, it shows the Albergo Diffuso. Albergo Diffuso accommodates guests in a room located in the town. It's called white color, shows the hotel room, which means that guests flow into the town. The characteristics of Albergo Diffuso have been reported created new jobs in the region and revitalize the community and strengthen the local community. Then it is considered to be a very useful reference for community-based NOHAC in Japan. Then, in this presentation, I would like to talk to you such a research question. Do the effort to welcome tourists as a regional contribute to the development of agritourism? In order to consider this question, first, I will summarize the characteristics and the challenges of NOHAC in Japan. Then I would like to introduce the characteristics of Albergo Diffuso. And finally, I will introduce the challenges in introducing Albergo Diffuso and the challenges that have begun to be conducted in rural area with Albergo Diffuso as a reference in Japan. So the concept of NOHAC in Japan is for tourists to stay overnight in the rural villages and enjoy meal and experience using local resources during their stay. The concept of NOHAC is not for individual farmers to host tourists, but for various local stakeholders, for example, accommodation and meal and other municipalities. So, and they established the regional council, as shown in the figure. The central organization, left side here, they play a key role in the council coordinate the various stakeholders. For example, I will show you some the example about NOHAC in the Hitoyoshi-Kuma region in Kyushu, Kumamoto Prefecture in the Kyushu region. The Himawari-tei, and that is a agritourism and restaurant in this region, play a central role as a tourism promotion organization. They organize other agritourism and administrative agencies in this region. In this region, the scope of activity expansive about 10 municipalities, so the range is very wide areas. So various projects are carried out on council basis, and training is provided through this council. So this slide already mentioned Professor Wei, but following challenges of the NOHAC have been pointed out. First, it's very important point. As mentioned earlier, they have not been commercialized, and there's no benefit to the region as a whole region. And COVID-19 pandemic has caused elderly hosts to give up their agritourism. And improving visitor satisfaction is a very important point. So this is especially true because many agritourism in Japan have mainly accepted school training programs, or Mr. Wei said that ski resort have been engaged in agritourism as a way and they have been engaged in agritourism as a way of life after retirement in the past. Thus, economic efficiency has not been prioritized. Therefore, the problem is that a few younger farmers are willing to adopt agritourism as a business practices. In order to promote agritourism in Japan in the future, it will be important to make it business while making a local effort. So let's look at albergo diffuso, which is in the business of welcome tourists as a community. Albergo diffuso is an initiative organizing in Italy that utilizes the vacant houses scattered throughout the community as a hotel rooms. Not as an initiative building or rooms, but as a single hotel for entire community. The characteristic feature of albergo diffuso is that tourists stay in the area as if they were living there by organically linking reception area, guest room, restaurant, etc., which are dispersed throughout the area. And generally speaking, an albergo diffuso is certified by Albergo Diffuso Association. In order to certify it as an Albergo Diffuso Association, the list is very important to satisfy by the Albergo Diffuso Association. Right now, in particular, it is characterized by the fact that providing services equivalent to those hotel, that each room is dispersed, that is the scope of effort generally less than 20 meters, 200 meters. And that is diffused the originally building rather than constructing new one, because of authentic environment is very important. As of 2020, Albergo Diffuso Association website lists 67 albergo diffuso in Italy. And after COVID, the number of registration further increased as of October 2022, albergo diffuso certified 76 right now. It's already. So I would like to show you some example of albergo diffuso. Sorry, I have some more time. When I have to finish my presentation?
Is per plan you have to finish in 55, but maybe you can take 3-4 minutes more.
Okay, sorry. So I will show you the example about albergo diffuso. Albergo diffuso are located in a village with a central. I skip this slide. But I will show you the example of Borgo Montemaggiore and Marche area, for example. There is 23 rooms in 6 houses in this area, and 90% of the guests are Italians, and 20% of guests are repeat customers. And the important thing is the employee are all employees are local residents. And next one is living. This is an example of town active effort to attract albergo diffuso in order to revitalize tourists. Here is the main reception, and there is some guest room in this area. And this area, 18 rooms in 4 different buildings in this area, and 5 employees hire this albergo diffuso, and they also living near this town. And now in 2023, a new bar opened in the village. So even during the COVID-19 pandemic, they are expanding their business. And yeah, this table shows the briefly summarize the characteristics of agritourism, albergo diffuso, and no-haku. Refer to the business type, management, connecting with agriculture, engagement with local community, and range of location. So agritourism is the one of the agricultural activity in the European, and the management is the individual farmer. On the other hand, the no-haku is a corporation, some stakeholders, and management by the regional council. It's a very big difference between the agritourism and no-haku. And the range of location, the agritourism, a range of location of agritourism is a point, so because of the individual activity, but the no-haku is the community level. So the wide range of activity. That's why the regional initiative is very important. So I would like to introduce the the style of welcoming tourists as a community like albergo diffuso has been attracting increasing attention in Japan in recent years. However, you can see the rural area. This picture shows the rural area, traditional rural area in Japan. In the rural area, houses are dispersed throughout the region like that. So it is considered that albergo diffuso is useful for solving problems of no-haku, such as commercialization and benefit to community. However, in rural areas of Japan, housing is very spread. So we have to solve this problem. So I will give you some challenges in Japan. In Takachiho Town, Miyazaki Prefecture, and Kyushu region, agritourism and local restaurants, cafe, and guest house share information guests accepted by the agritourism. In this way, tourists stay overnight for several days, and they can use restaurant, cafe in addition to meals at agritourism. Or they can reduce, the host can reduce the burden on the agritourism by staying 1 or 2 nights at agritourism and staying a guest house for the rest of their the guest stay. And next is another example in Hitoyoshi area in Kumamoto Prefecture. This project promotes the cooperation among some agritourism in this region. So because they can accept many guests in multiple agritourism, because there is over 10 agritourism in there, so they can share their guests in this region, and they can risk diversification when the host is unable to accept a guest due to sudden ill or health, something like me today. So they can risk hedge in this region, because the network is very important. So let me conclude my presentation. So now I will set the research question: does the system to accept tourists in a region contribute to the development of agritourism? In Japan, many focus on the agritourism by individual farm. In Japan, main focus was not on agritourism by individual farmers, but rather the tourism on a regional basis. So albergo diffuso is one of the good example, I think. But in rural areas, housing is displaced and agritourism hosts are aging. Elderly people manage their agritourism. So it is difficult to carry out initiative by individual agritourism or refer to albergo diffuso directly. So the networking is very important in Japan. They can promote effort throughout the region, and they can and enable the sustainable development of agritourism in the region. I think this is the good example, not only in Japan, but also the Asian region, because the Asian region, I think Asian region is the same land use landscape as Japan. So the house is very scattering it, and they try to activate the whole region. That's why the networking with albergo diffuso as a reference is very important activity. Yeah. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And I'm sorry, except expand.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving your time due to uneasy health condition of that you are facing. There is one question about the main policy for foreign tourists in international market in Japan. Can you just answer in maybe within 1 minute? What are the main policies for foreign tourists or international market in Japan? Maybe Reza can explain. Are you talking about the agritourism
Yes,
or general market?
Yeah, I'm talking about general market and for international tourists in Japan, for the agritourism. So, for example, many in the East Asian country, for example, like a Philippines, now they are famous for agritourism and they have a big market. So I want to know that what is the main policy for the Japan to attract foreigner to stay and visit when they are going to Japan to visit agritourism and rural area.
Do you have answer of this one? You are muted.
Sorry, the network are really, but so please.
Maybe do you have any idea?
Well, thank you. That is a very important point, and government try to boost the incoming tourists from abroad, but actually there's many things to prepare for that. And most of this is mindset for locals. The people needs to open your mind. Welcome. So, but sometimes, no, not sometimes, quite often, we can observe that the local people are very much closed, inward looking. And so, open your mind. That is first thing we have to challenge. And so changing, opening the mindset to open to the people from outside. That is, it takes some time. Yes.
I think that's the that is from the supplier perspective, but I think his question is there any policy that attracts international visitors or inbound to the agritourism?
Yeah. So now Agritourism NOHAC program try to introduce tourists from abroad, but there's I'm talking about software aspect like a mindset. And another is also promotion for the tourists from abroad, how to promote, attract tourists from abroad. But now we have increasing number of repeat visitors from tourists from abroad. So after visiting urban areas, then next time people are like to more likely to visit rural areas. So the people are now repeated tourists from abroad are now start to looking at rural areas. So that could be a chance for us. But promotion is not organized.
Okay,
that is a big issue.
We are running out of time.
I talked too much.
It's okay. It's okay. Now I would like to give you time to present Korean policies. What do they have? Can you just present the trends and policies in South Korea, Mr. Dr. Rezai?
So now is my turn. I thought
Yeah,
that
yeah.
now.
I
okay.
overruled because I want to discuss about the
Okay.
general idea. Then we will go to Mongolia.
Okay, just a minute. I will share my screen.
Thank you. Dr. Rezai is working in Konkuk University, South Korea. It's yours.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you for inviting me to talking in this session. Now we are going to talk about the agritourism policy and trend in South Korea. So in regards to my questions, we will talk later, and in the last of my slides, I will talk about this issue, also the foreign policy for the foreigner. And just I want to know that about Japan, because it's almost same. And after my presentation, you can see how they are same and main policy. First, we are going to talk about Korean populations living in the urban-rural area and the balance between those of them, because it's really important when we are going to talk about rural development. Almost 80% of the population in Korea lives in the urban area, and around 9.5 million living in the rural area. And the average age of the Korean farm manager increased from the 2005 from 61 years old to more than 65 years old. And nowadays, 47% of the rural population is more than 65. And that one is the problem, the biggest problem for the rural area. And after that, we are going to about the farmlands make 70% in South Korea. And the total agriculture area is around the 1,565 million hectares. The main agricultural product in Korea is the paddy field, and is make up more than 50%, and is really crucial for the Korean government as a main policy for agricultural product. Another things, Korea started to grow and develop after 1960s, and this development, it was really fast. And most of the major and future for South Korea development was in the economic based on the focus on innovation and technology. These fast changes lead to gap between industrial development and agricultural development and rural development. So because of these funds, this fast transformation, rural and urban areas suffered from the socioeconomic problem, such as lower income, depopulation, aging, environmental degradation. So that's one make many problems. So they have to do something. Before going to talk about the main policy, in Korea, in the main policy and most of the literature, agritourism known as a rural tourism or rural dem village. Here in the picture, you can see the definition of agritourism in Korea. So whenever we are talking about the rural tourism or rural dem village, means agritourism. Here we can see that we have a three main stage for the agritourism in South Korea. They have a three main policy. First, it started from the 1984 to 2000. Second, 2002, and last one since 2014. For the main first stage, we call rural tourism resource development, and after that, rural tourism village development, and then 6 industrialization policy. For the first one, the government wants to visit to stay on the rural farms and enjoy various rural and farm activities. So because of that one, they introduce rural tourism resources development. They start to support farm tour as a part of the non-farm income generation policy. Based on that one, farm tours appear as a new concept and act in Korea and is referred to facilities equipped with the farm experience center, accommodation, restaurant, resort, and resting area for the visitors. After that, the government provide many support program to farmers to improve and sustain their income, such as indirect cash payment and aids the regulation on land use. So that's those support help rural urban area to establish their program. So through this program, around 491 tours established in Korea. Actually, there was 2 main points to stop this policy. First, since 1997, government gradually reduced the support of this fund because the abuse city residents to the protection law. Many city residents went to rural area. They bought the land and they used that protect law, such as indirect cash payment. They used the loan, but they didn't establish anything. And actually, they didn't consider them as a rural residents. So they stopped that one. Another one, Asian financial crisis, and that fund occurred in the end of the 1990s, and majority of the tour funds went out of the business because of the economic problem, same as other sectors. The next one, the Korean government has made effort to introduce and improve rural tourism policy with the rural tourism village development project. Through this fund, government conducted a public contest to select a village with the exceptional resources for a tourism or a leader who can take an initiative of the rural tourism and support the fund to the relevant village. This method of the rural policy was based on the cooperation and community-based business. So the target of those project was to develop 36,300 rural villages in Korea, but they established around 1,900 rural tourism project. And at the same time, the government's Ministry of Agriculture push the local government to support the other same program. Based on that, one local government provides several laws in order to support rural tourism projects such as agritourism and food festival based on their regional culture and heritage. Now, when we are talking about the Korean policy, just they consider the local market, not international market. So when we say that regional culture or heritage based on the state, density, they have a different culture, different food, and different mindset. So just they focus on the regional culture and heritage to attract tourists. And based on this one, until 2014, 700 village established beside the previous number. The government started to support farmers stay in the village by utilizing their house. This law was established in the 1994, and under this law, residents in agriculture and fishing village have been allowed to operate the B&B business on this scale, and allowed to provide their breakfast without official approval as a restaurant. And according to this law, around 27,000 farms stay operated in Korea by 2014. The biggest challenges of this program were relying on the government support, and that's one is the main challenges for Korea, and still they have these challenges relying on the government support. Actually, in the beginning, many rural tourism projects work well with government support, but over time, when the government stopped supporting them, local residents' involvement significantly decreased because they had to run their own, and without government support, they couldn't. And after that, governments has started to combine rural tourism with the 6th industrialization policy, and through that fund try to make an industrial rural tourism business to sustain rural development. Those plans develop rural area through innovation activity while their natural environment is well perceived. So the industrialization of the rural tourism aimed to create an environment where rural tourism companies can survive in the market competition on their own and not relying on the government support. The government provide the form of management that added value by incorporation experiential tourism for farmer through agritourism as a key factor of rural tourism and development. Farmers uncover local resources and enabling the creation of the clean, small scale and safe agricultural products. Farmer process and sell their product directly, including through their own sell outlets and packing solution. So they provide some law to help farmer to provide this one in their market. Actually, the aim has been to support and improve rural tourism and change the traditional pattern of rural tourism by connecting tourism infrastructure in village and farms. In general, government's programs are currently focused on enhancing rural tourism by introducing new elements such as the slow life. Especially, they want to motivate city dwellers to change their lifestyle and attract them going to the rural area and stay there and be more relaxed. And also local food, heritage, and another important things targeting the young generation because of the age population and aging in rural area. Here we can see some example of the new trend of the policy and innovation in Korea nowadays. They are working, especially after COVID-19. They start to establish the rural healing village, and this one for this one. 32 candidates across the country selected, and now 11 rural healing village started to work, and they choose based on the facilities suitable for summer vacation and well connected to healing services. The rural village is a place were using various resources such as rural tradition, history, culture, and food. As another example of the innovation and targeting young generation, now government working closely with the university, especially with the university have the department for the tourism and agriculture, and they called that one as the first rural tourism idea. And through that funds, this program designed to provide an opportunity for young people in their 20 to 30 to become interested in various economic activity in rural area, such as agritourism. And they want to involve them with the rural agriculture and rural people, because they are educated, they have enough motivation to work, and also they want to fill out the gap for the unemployment for the young generation also. Another thing is the farm coffee. Actually, farm coffee is really famous in Korea and based on the national market. So based on that one, they're getting attention as a crucial contribution to revolve the rural tourism. They achieved this by adopting local agricultural product to consumer preference. And this program was designed to generate farm income by selling unique dessert and using local agricultural product to prospective entrepreneur. And here now you can see the latest trend of the agritourism in Korea. Nowadays, around 2,000 agritourism farms working and established in Korea, but many of them working as a seasonal farm because of the many conditions like weather conditions, as harvesting, especially during this winter time, most of them not working. But during the summer, as autumn, they are working. So as you can see here, farm stay, farm coffee, fruit packing, animal farm is a kind of the famous trend as agritourism in Korea. Another thing, when we are going to talk about agritourism in Korea, when we are talking with the Korean as a customer, they consider agritourism as a large-scale business with a well-equipped infrastructure that's showcase farmer activities such as the farm animal and harvesting fruit. When you are talking with the people, if have you ever been visit the agritourism, they said that yes, yeah, but their meaning is different with the official meaning of agritourism. And what is the disadvantage of this one? First, most of them are located, those big business located in the countryside, but they are isolated from the traditional rural farmland. Here you can see some picture of the big scale of the agritourism as a large scale in Korea. But you cannot any cooperation with the small and local farmers in Korea. And the other challenges of the rural tourism in South Korea is first and mainly is about the government support, aging, cultural and language barrier. Language barrier is especially important for the international market. When we want to attract the tourists going and visit the rural area, this one is really big issue. And a smaller scale farm infrastructure and marketing. For promoting agritourism in South Korea, require a comprehensive strategy that highlight the unique aspect of the country's rural area and agricultural heritage. So the key factor of this one, first, still is the government policy, because agriculture and rural area depends on the governments. And other things is the media. Nowadays, K-pop is a kind of the famous trend in around the world. So Korean governments, they can use this fund to introduce their market, agritourism, to the government, to the other people. For example, I mentioned that now Philippines is among the world top agritourism destination, and based on the data, the top tourism market for agritourism in Philippines is they went from the South Korea. So that means South Korean peoples like visiting agritourism, but why they are going there and they are not visiting as much here. But how they use Philippines, they introduced their market. So Korea, they have this opportunity as a K-pop or media, and now we are living in the influencer time. So also we can use this one as a marketing. We can use this policy to introduce agritourism and help market and other things. As Professor O said, that's mindset for the local, global mindset for locals. Yeah, they have to train. Actually, for the aging and old generation is really difficult. But for with some policy from the government and sending the young generation, especially those studying in the tourism area, they can help local to accept the foreigner and open this big market for agritourism. Another thing is partnership and collaboration with the farmers, local farmers, and the local business. And food and cooking exhibition, collaboration with local, as I mentioned that. Thank you for your attention.
Dr. Rezai, thank you. Thank you for your nice presentation. And I also believe that language and influencer, these are the two key factors that we should overcome to attract international visitors to the agritourism in domestic agritourism. If you have any questions, you can ask in the chat box. I want to ask one question related to quality management in agritourism. Is there any policy that deals with the quality or that controls the quality in agritourism in Korean perspective?
Yes, actually they have some rule and law for the establishing agritourism. They have some measuring for staying in the for example farm stay, providing food and breakfast, but it is not well organized. Just because of the local smell, and especially for the farmer in the local area, government they don't have a strict, they are not strict. So that's one is another challenges, because they are not well organized and not enough infrastructure for visitors. So when government is not strict about this rule, so people when they are going to visit the agritourism for the first time and second time, they will not come back again, because of the lack of infrastructure. And not, for example, when tourists going to the agritourism farm, they need some things for making them happier, as making connection and feel free, beside experience the rural life. For example, for me, in my case, I work in the rural area with the Korean as a foreigner. But when I went in the farm and worked with them, so I saw it. When you are going there, is not well established because of the lack of the beside this infrastructure training program. Also, they need this one.
Okay, thank you. I also frequently discuss about the quality of agritourism that we need to improve by giving trainings and awareness campaigns to the farmers as well. Just one quick follow-up questions, although we are running out of time. In case of developing countries, when we give subsidies to the people, many occasionally, or maybe most of the time, that money goes as a corruption or in a bad way. Does it happen in Korean context as well?
Actually, for this one, we need the official information, and I don't have enough information about that one. But yes, happened, because as I mentioned in my presentation, they abuse many things, and they are doing some rule. For example, all of this is for the rural tourism development, and this money is for that one. But many people, they are not as a real local farmer or local residents. They came here and they are using something like a chatting system to just give that advantage, but they are not providing anything for the local area. Just they abuse this one. Of course, they have a season, but officially I cannot say because I don't have this data.
Okay, I understand your condition. Thank you for your time. And now I would like to move to Mongolia, and I want to hear about the possibilities of agritourism development in nomadic herds. Dr. Ms. Jivama, can you give presentation about it? She is working in a central bank, so maybe she can have a strict idea how to control money. So this is just a joke. Maybe we will hear interesting presentation about potential of agritourism in Mongolia. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kewama. I'm from Mongolia, and I'm so glad to participate in this webinar. Thank you, Kumar Bhatta, to giving me this opportunity, and also thank you for other participants. Your presentations gave me valuable information, and it was so interesting. Okay, today I would like to talk about the possibilities to develop the agritourism in Mongolia based on everyday life of nomad people, nomadic herders. Okay, first of all, I want to introduce myself briefly. My name is Kewama. I am from Mongolia, and you can see the brief biography. And I'm an economist, and now I work in a commercial bank. It's one of the biggest bank in Mongolia, Hambank. And now my position is merchant specialist, and agritourism is my favorite field and my hobby traveling. So I'm so interested in agritourism. And also I live in a like a town, not a village, but I live in a Bangalore. It's one of the district of capital city. It's located 134 kilometers far from the Ulaanbaatar. And the population is about 30,000. And you know, the Mongolia is landlocked country between Russia and China. And also I would like to introduce the Mongolia a little bit. And territory 1.5 million kilometers square, and density is only 2 people per kilometer square. The most sparsely populated country in the world, and maybe second. And I mentioned about the border in Russia and China, and population is 3.4 million, and 59% of the population is under the age 30. Capital city Ulaanbaatar, and almost half of population lives in Ulaanbaatar. And ethnic group Mongol, Kazakh, Russian, Chinese, and the last few years also a lot of Korean people live in Mongolia. And language Mongolian Cyrillic alphabet, and religion Buddhist 53%, and non-religious 39%, and others shamanism. Politics, democracy, parliamentary republic, and the most famous Mongolian person is Genghis Khan. Okay, also I would like to introduce little about the tourism. The development of tourism is mentioned as the third of the economic priorities, and it is defined as developing tourism with national characteristics and improving competitiveness in the international tourism market. And economic development based on the three fields in Mongolia. The first one is food agriculture, it's light industry. And my second one is mining, it's heavy industry. And the third one is trade, tourism, infrastructure. The tourism sector developed to the extent of 7.2% of GDP. It's in 2019. The long-term policy document Vision 2050 provides for the development of regional tourism products and services based on geographical features, nature, history, cultural heritage, and nomadism. As of 2019, Mongolia was ranked 93rd out of 140 countries in the world tourism industry. Competitiveness index complied by the World Economic Forum indicates that Mongolia's competitiveness is still weak. Therefore, it's believed that the development of agritourism based on nomadic culture, which is the basis of sustainable tourism in Mongolia. Mongolia considers its country's nomadic husbandry and history and culture as important resources, and in addition to developing tourism based on them, the policy concept includes the creation of sustainable tourism, development that's environmentally friendly and based on public participation. Okay, I really want to talk about the Mongolian nomads because the Mongolian nomads is, in my opinion, it's very unique in the world. So I talk about the Mongolian nomads first. Tens of thousands of years ago, humans began as nomads. Mongolia is one of the few countries that retains its nomads culture and heritage for future generations. For Mongolians, nomadism means that the herdsman worships the benefit of his livestock and lives following the rhythm of his livestock. You can see the picture on this screen. This is the real life in the countryside in Mongolia. As nomadic herders looks like this. Mongolian gear, it's so unique in the world also. Nowadays, the Mongolian gear is very popular, especially in European countries. The European people interested in Mongolian gear, and so some people exported Mongolian gear to the European countries. And the most important thing in the nomad's life is Mongolian accommodation, it's dwelling. It's easy to build and detachable, a large interior space, and warm in the winter, cool in the summer. You can see the interior, this picture, the gear, the weight is only 250 and between 250 and 270 kilograms, so it can be loaded with a few camels or yaks, and 2 or 3 people can build in a few hours. The pelt was can exchange air 500 times per hour. This dwelling is suitable for use in all 4 seasons of the year. It is the most common accommodation that is significant cultural heritage of Mongolia and was registered as UNESCO Heritage in 2013. Okay, you can see these pictures. It's how to build, how to detachable, and you can see all of the pieces of this gear. And the camel, okay, I think it's very easy to understand. Look at this picture. Also, the moving process in the countryside, I will talk about it later. And sometimes camels, sometimes with yak and horses also they use. This one is the family who lives in the desert. Okay. Second, very interesting and very unique heritage and tradition is the animals. And Mongolia has 5 types animals, and animal husbandry is the source of livelihood for nomads and the basis of their existence. 5 types of livestock, it includes horse, camel, cow, sheep, and goat. And reindeers, which is the basic of Mongolian traditional nomadic economy also. But reindeers are not very popular, as reindeers only one place north of the Mongolia. There are very few families there now. Nomads are more individualistic and self-sufficient because they solve problems independently. Everyone realized that the most suitable surviving place is rural living after the pandemic around the world. And also, especially in Mongolia, the best accommodation is gear after the pandemic situation. Many people realized about it. As the world evolves and develops, human influence and natural increases and natural resources decrease and the climate is changing, the impacts of climate change are high in the lives of nomads. Therefore, environmental concerns have become a priority, and zero waste lifestyle has become a new trend around the world, also in Mongolia. The minimalist lifestyle is not just a popular concept nowadays. Mongolian nomadic herders have traditionally lived a classic minimalist life without waste. That makes a nomad's life unique are the things they don't have. Because they don't have any electronic things like a refrigerator and television, TV, and also other big, huge size of furnitures. As nature has already prepared all the things that people need. Not wanting more is the principle of nomadic lifestyle. You can see these pictures. This is the migration process after packaging all the gear and all their stuffs, and they clean the place that they were live. And always clean this place. And next year they move back, and they can't find the place because naturally it's refreshing and growing grasses, and they can't find the exact place. It's very eco-friendly. And they also want to protect the natural. It's very traditional in Mongolian nomadic people. Also, I mentioned about the reindeers and nomadic reindeers. It's very few families live in a coastal climate, and in the future, agritourism based on nomadic livelihood will determine the direction of tourism development in Mongolia. Also, especially foreign tourists' interest about the reindeer, and they want to see the reindeers and how the reindeer herd their families live, and the reindeers attracts always foreign tourists. And now I talk about agritourism Mongolia. There is a way for the development of agritourism in Mongolia based on the livelihood of herders to create new chances to observe and participate in their daily activities and give tourists the chance to live a day as a nomadic people. Especially, I think at first we should introduce about the agritourism and how to visit the countryside, how to participate in the everyday life of herders' everyday life for domestic tourists, because the young generations don't know how do they their food processing, how do the herders live, and most of them, especially who lives in a capital city, they don't realize the 5 kind of animals. Also, they don't know how to care of them, and they don't have any idea. Also, most of them never stay near. They live in an apartment, and so how do people make a fire and kind of things they don't know. So agritourism, developing agritourism based on nomadic everyday life is so important issue, especially for young generations. So it would be good first for domestic tourists. Of course, later on for foreign tourists also, it's so attractive tourism activities. You can see the Mongolian nomads milking the 5 type of animals. This picture shows the cow milking and also the yak milking and horse milking, mare milking, and sheep and goat also milk, and camel milking. So it would be so interesting for foreign tourists milking the camel and milking the horse and goat milking. Some activities such as goat combing and sheep shearing and horse training, also it's the everyday activity in the countryside. You can see these pictures, how do they shearing the sheep and goat. Mongolian cashmere is so very warm and very famous in the world. Also, Mongolia export the cashmere to foreign countries. And horse training, the winter time, and camel training also. Some places use the yak, and they ride the yak and training the yak. You can see these pictures. And migration process is so interesting. So I wanted to show you some part of the migration process. It depends on the landscape. And some places it shows use the cattle, and this place is like steppe place. Who lives the steppe? They use the kind of this. And if herders live in the mountain places, they use the yak like this, very high mountains, they use yak. And if they live in the desert in Qavi, they use the camel for the moving process. Now, traditional methods of dairy processing organic food. And they make in arg. It's a kind of alcohol, but not very strong. And they make it from horse milk. It's this one also, the arrow, it's kort. Maybe in English it's kort. Yes. And there's a butter and the cheese. It's traditional way they make a cheese like this, Mongolian traditional cheese. And some special events of nomads, it's only once a year or not every day. It's once a year or once, sometime, usually in the summertime and winter time. because some places organize the camel racing, some places horse racing. Horse racing is so popular, and some places organize the yak racing. You can see these kind of pictures, and also they wearing the traditional clothes also this ceremony. And summarizing, the Mongolian nomads believe that this drill should be inseparable. The first one, love and protect the earth like a mother. And second, care their livestock like own children. And respect other people like parents. These nomads believe this drill should be inseparable. And if agritourism is a very new aspect in Mongolia, it's not developed. And if we develop the agritourism, benefits of developing agritourism, you can see here for Mongolia, it's sustainability for agricultural business and preserving cultural heritage, support green development, awareness of the local people, and empowerment of rural areas, infrastructure development, improving local productivity, and creating new jobs and additional income. Especially in a community-based agritourism is very effective for Mongolian tourism development. And one of the very unique and thing is, if tourists go to the countryside and visit nomadic family, they can participate everyday life. They can get the experience like horse riding a horse and milking the cows or horse or some other animals and take care of them, and also how to make dairy products, and also how to make a fire, or how to collect the dumping and for fire. And one or 3 days, they can learn a lot of things at the same time, because they Mongolian nomads very busy every day. And also the aging and lack of the human force, the workforce in the countryside. It's like of other countries. It's a problem in the countryside, also in Mongolia. Okay, my conclusion, there is a way for the development of agritourism in Mongolia based on the livelihood of herders to create chances to observe and participate in their daily activities and give tourists experience to live a day as a herder, since tourism is one of the main economic sectors. However, the concept of agritourism is a completely new concept for local communities in Mongolia. In my experience, herders and local authority informed their high interest in developing agritourism in the community and their willingness to learn more about the concept. Domestic travelers' behavior and their interest can meet at the same point, especially after COVID-19 situation. The concept of agritourism is not familiar to the people in Mongolia. However, after the pandemic period, the majority of domestic tourists are willing to receive an offer of an exciting trip where they stay with a herder family for a few days to gain some experience from the culture, customs, and traditions of the nomads. Through helping with their daily work, it suggests that there is a strong possibility to develop agritourism in Mongolia, which is connected with lifestyle of nomadic herders. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gibama. Thank you for interesting presentation. Personally, I enjoyed a lot because I used to sleep with the goats when I was child. So I personally enjoyed a lot with your presentation and with your pictures. I have very short questions related to the migration process. It is the community migration or just single migration? Migration is allowed because in some part of Nepal, we also do have some the order migration. But at that time, all the groups should migrate together. Otherwise, the grass will finish earlier. Do you have this system in?
Yeah, it depends on the landscape. And also, some families, just stay one family, or some places about the two and more families. And if there is one family, they do it just themselves. And otherwise, if there are two or more families, they moved it together. But the common migration is individual, just the family by one family and one by one. But nowadays, they use most of them use trucks, and it's easy to move. And many places still make a migration process like this. Especially the distance from the central area, distance from the provinces and the villages, real countryside. They use these animals, still use.
Okay, thank you. Based on my understanding based on my understanding from your presentation, I thought that different agritourism activities in nomadic herders are possible, like cheese making, which is quite interesting, traditional type. Horse riding, of course, is most attracting activities in agritourism. Migration process itself could be the most important attraction for international tourists as well. But we need to think about how to attract those international tourists up to that rural destinations. This can be this can be done through the support of government, like subsidies. Again, we need to think how to properly apply subsidies in agritourism. From the today's four presenters, I think the key words for the agritourism development and for the sustainable business management, I think we should think about the community, ethnicity, rural environment, and quality management. It can be obtained through the good entrepreneurship and policy implications. I think that's all from my side. I want to give maybe 30 seconds for each, 30 seconds to 1 minute for each presenters, because we are running out of time to give their last comments. Maybe I start from Professor Oe, who is nearby me.
Okay. I think especially Mongolian case, it's very quite interesting. It's very informative for me. And my question is secondary transportation. When you arrive airport in the city, but how to get to in nomad place? That is always everywhere in Japan also, because when you go to the main station by train, but after that, how to get the agritourism site is getting an issue for local people or local community, because people get aged. And
yes.
So secondary transportation, we say. So how do you cope with this situation in Mongolia and or in Korea? That's my question. It's
I agree.
No time for discussion. I'm sorry.
Maybe
yeah. Oh, okay.
Think about the transportation to reach to the destination.
Yeah,
that's his point. I think let's take it as a comment rather than a question. Maybe I should give some time to Daisuke. Do you have anything to wrap up?
Yeah, thank you very much for all the presented. Yeah, it's a very interesting presentation for all of us, and I think the accessibility is, yeah. Professor Oye mentioned about the accessibility. Yeah, for the rural area, accessibility is very important to manage the agritourism. So yeah, so future plan we have to discuss how to access the second transportation and how to manage the all of the area. Yeah, that is a big point for the future plan, I think. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for your presentation. And just I want to add one point. I think if we can add the health issue for the rural area and citizen and urban citizens, for example, nowadays, especially in some countries such as Japan, South Korea, China, they have a big population in the cities. So many of the people in the city area, they suffered from the well-being problem and mindset problem because of the harshing lifestyle. So if we can convince the people to visit the rural area, especially farm, we can solve two problems: health issue and sustainability in rural area. Just I want to add this point. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rezai, and thank you for all the speakers and all the participants. At least Aisha Pandurang Tawari from India, Josel from Philippines, and Professor from Vietnam. I just shared one link here. I'm also working as a regional coordinator of Global Agritourism Network. If you want to hear about agritourism in future, we organize different events. You can register here, or you can just send me an email. I will put you in the subscription list of this Global Agritourism Network. Further, we are organizing second international conference on agritourism in May in Bolzano. You can participate in that event as well. By these words, I want to thank you all the participants, and I would like to close the sessions. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody. Bye bye.
Let's finish. Thank you.
I'm not sure I registered.